So this crossover, we know that Zolong Games love doing their collabs with older titles, and I wanted to find out just how old this was, but they already rebuilt it to us. In the 1990s, 1991 to be exact, the same year that Langrisser released as well. And to be honest, I just found out about it when they announced it. But nevertheless, let's start off by going over Captain Commando, or Captain and Baby is what they're calling them. He's a physical attacker that's part of the protagonist, strategy, and time faction who is infantry only. His talent increases AoE damage and does a ton more to enemies without any soldiers. When attacking, he gets combat enthusiasm that increases mobility, attack, and defense that stacks 3 times per 2 turns. At the end of action, if those stacks has reached the max limit, he can act again. I love my AoE attackers. Also, I wouldn't really worry about that 300% damage boost if you guys know about how the way that Awakeness 3C works. It's the same concept, so that really only applies to stuff like Bright Summoner's Unicorn. The initiative to get his combat stacks, I wouldn't really worry about it, since his other skills really helps get those much more easier. Because once he attacks within one block, that doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but each stack of combat lets him attack more times if it's above 1 and has a cooldown. So at max, he can hit 3 times, and due to his talent, he's gonna be hitting really hard, especially if you get his attack really high, which can be possible just naturally. You do have the option of using his revive skill because everyone gotta have one for some reason. His best 2C skill here teleports him and attacks 3 blocks wide and long while increasing their damage taken for 2 turns. If this hits 2 more enemies, he gets a stack of combats. This is gonna be one of his best AoE skills to bring. Since this thing has a teleport effect, it allows him to get much more closer than he would normally, and then hopefully act again into another AoE. His other 2C AoE attacks a single enemy to displace them randomly around 1 block and unable to move. Using this skill can be very interesting, like the combo into his like 1C I guess, but you're not gonna see people use this and you're not gonna use it yourself either, just because his other 2C is just way much more better as it allows him to get much more closer with better range, and he gets to ramp up. His 3C has a passive where by using all of his mobility, he gets a stack of combats. It's an AoE that attacks within 3 blocks and dealing another one to enemies close by. It applies electric shock where they take fixed damage before using a skill. The cooldown of that skill will be increased by an additional 0.5 times every round for 2 turns. Honestly, I don't even know why that's a thing. I don't know, that number seems just pretty weird and can go pretty unrecognizable I think, unless he gets the opportunity to use it again, but for the most part, your characters are probably gonna be dead by the time he even gets to use it. Maybe something like the basic heal, I can see it because it is pretty spammable, but yeah, he's nothing more than just a pure damage dealer. The deadliest part about him is being able to ramp up his attack and especially that mobility. If you got Awakener or Xeon, then congrats. This guy can for sure start killing with little to no efforts. In PvP, the only thing that this guy will struggle with is being able to approach even with having high mobility. If you can find a workaround that, then this guy will absolutely start destroying anything in his path. In PvE, he can still be fun. His AoE should still hit hard, even without using some single target skills, especially his 1C for example, I would say. But you typically don't use AoEs in a lot of situations, only in those like rare moments. So if you want to see like big, over exaggerated numbers, then yeah, he can be quite fun. So I wouldn't really pull for him other than PvP since that is his forte. Our second character are these 2 ninjas. They are the best ones that you can pull for. He's a physical attacker that's part of the protagonist, meteor and time faction, who's only assassin. His talent gives him more attack and crit rate with 1 extra range. He starts in walk mode that increases damage, ignores guard, then at the end of action, for every 1 mobility used, the mobility on the next turn is increased by 1 up to a max of 5. If you used up all of your mobility, he can enter run mode at the same time. So if he fails to destroy the enemy in battle, he can act again, but he's unable to move. Otherwise, he will enter walk mode, which they cannot exist at the same time. So that may be a tiny bit confusing, but I'm gonna say what that means at the end. But there's gonna be more usages when it comes to these 2 different modes. His 1C passive heals him based on his fixed damage, wherein which he does that after attacking. He also does have access to fixed damage soldiers as well, so he should have no trouble double tapping enemies. unless they have immunity to fixed damage. But thanks to the butterfly accessory, we won't see a whole lot of swordsmith metal. He has an AoE that reaches 5 blocks long and 3 blocks wide, that increases crit rate and steals 1 buff. In run mode, he can move 3 blocks after attacking. His other 2C is a single target that applies Melting Husk before battle. It makes it so that the buff that you get is converted into a random debuff. The special corrosion effect is applied at the location for 2 turns. What corrosion does is that at the beginning of the round, it spreads to 1 block. The opponent who stands on it gets Melting Husk. In run mode, this attack does fixed damage. You may not run this skill since he does have 2 other skills with guaranteed ignore guard effect, which his running mode doesn't have. Only in his walk mode does he have the ignore guard effect. And that especially applies to his 3C. It has a passive in run mode where he gets 2 mobility reduction by moving through defensive terrains. It's a single target skill that has increased crit rate. If in walk mode, you can attack first, then he gets smoke for 1 turn that wears off by taking AoE damage. If there's allies within 1 block, there's a 30% chance that the enemy can't attack them, but it's guaranteed in PvP. If it kills, then the cooldown is reduced by 3. Oh yeah, this dude is way too insane for an assassin. Crazy mobility with a sure chance of killing even the tankiest opponents since he can act again multiple times, and when I say that, I mean twice. Cause you go into attack, and then that puts him in run mode at the same time in walk mode, if you use all of his mobility, and it doesn't kill. You will act again, but you will still be in run mode, but you cannot move. He will act again for the last time, and then after the second act again, he's gonna be put into walk mode. And hopefully you have the smoke effect so that you have a guaranteed chance of not getting hit, unless it's an AoE. But by the time you act again for the second time, his skills may be exhausted unless you have clock. So in total, he can attack 3 times in 1 single round on his own, killing even the tankiest enemies like Asoto and Emir. So yeah, he's the more prized character and the craziest assassin that we've ever seen. Very dominant in PvP. This guy is able to zone even on the biggest of maps. You just gotta make sure that he does move around a lot to ensure that. PvE? Very solid, I would say. His smoke can come in handy at times, and can attack pretty often. Plus with the 3 range, he should be outranging quite a few enemies. Plus the multiple act again, making him a very consistent damage dealer. But like I said earlier, just make sure that he's always moving around. There will be an exclusive weapon for Patricia. Soul Burning Plague lasts 1 turn longer and has a 100% chance of inflicting 1 more stack of hits. More than likely you are able to get 3 stacks, maybe a bit more if you're lucky. But there's still the possibility of getting a low roll, but that's like if you're insanely unlucky. Because this weapon is guaranteed but her talent isn't. The highest that she gets is 70% chance of applying this debuff. And she wants 3 stacks of these on the enemy so that her range extension takes an effect. If only they could change the way how her 3C AoE works. For the casting skills, first up is Grenshiel. Before battle, she converts the enemy's mobility buff into a debuff. Her cold shield will have a command effect where allies within 2 blocks have their attack and int increased by 10%. If anything, it really only just applies to herself. Second is Gustav, where casting skills on herself causes the cooldown to increase by 1. After casting, she can move 2 blocks and attack again. She has a 1C skill that she carries. It's what you normally would bring, which doesn't have a high cooldown, plus she needs that range to even compete. So yeah, pretty good. Actigans are always a huge deal. Third we got is Olivier. For each enemy hit, he can do more damage plus skill cooldown, consistency, and can do more damage as an AoE attacker. His base attack stat is incredibly low, so hopefully this helps him out cause I haven't seen anyone try to use him in a CN server. The last one is Hein, where he gets 1 extra talent stack, but in his SP form it's either of his thunder or flame stack, which I really don't get why. I mean, like, can you even call this a buff? They could have given more range, like do something based on his, like, maybe his talent stack. Like if it's at max he gets like 4 range in total. A way better improvement, I would say. With some of the interesting banners that should be coming, a red with Grenshiel, a fantastic bulky DPS with a strategy faction buff, a very solid damage dealer, but we got better ones nowadays. Plus, you're mainly going to be getting her to unlock Awakener's Bond. Then you have Taranto, a very strong tank and a DPS. A Destiny banner with Angel, who is a very strong attacker, and Hilda, who is a tank with the Rebirth faction with a strong damage mitigation on herself and her allies. One of the best things I would say. Patricia is there too, but she really only shines in PvP rush teams. Plus with her exclusive coming out, she's very good. Another Destiny banner with Patricia who is needed to unlock bonds for characters like Nemia. As for the content that we should be getting, the collab formable events, the login event to get 10 vouchers plus an item to unlock a slot machine, which I still have no idea what it does, an event where you have to do some tasks to earn points for some rewards, more content for the Odyssey game mode, more Ragnarok challenge stages, a new territory unlocked, and that's really all I can say for certain that we'll get besides the usual Anakin and Cat stage unlock, with more gold and a voucher from dailies. We get them once every major update. Another thing that I do want to add is the free faction buff characters from year 1. I think that CN got this during this update, but I honestly don't think they did, since this was a new thing ever since Cold War, I'm pretty sure, which was more targeted towards new players, and it should still be a permanent thing, but just for new players. I think it's like when they're like level 30 is when they get this or something. I honestly don't think we're gonna get this just like that if you're not new. But yeah, besides that, there is a chance that Global may get more content as par for the course. With some of the new skins, another Echo Light for Hilda and Lost Them. Pretty mid, but I'm sure there's a tighter restriction on this collab. It could be a collab related like outfits, because I don't know anything about Captain Commando or like what the theme about it is. In the store, it's been confirmed that we'll be getting the Maya wedding skin when the update goes live. We were supposed to get this last update like how CN did. So for those who really like Maya, there we go. 2 soldier skins for the Fighting Monk and Night Elf by farming the collab event. Then we got a Macho Lotto skin for Lugner. Alright, so that was about everything, if not most of everything that the global side of Langrisser will be getting in this collab update. Not a lot of crazy stuff. The content does feel a bit dried, but next month is the 6th anniversary. And for sure, there's gonna be a lot of good stuff to look forward to, especially the character herself. She's really insane. I would honestly recommend people going for her. A very strong support character. Other than that, the thing that I'm looking forward to is Patricia's exclusive weapon right away. I'm gonna be getting that. Patricia is one of my top favorite characters, so honestly, this just makes her so much more better. And I'm kind of hoping to get Captain Commando. I want him the most here since he is gonna be tons of fun to use, even though the ninja dude is fundamentally a lot more better. He has a very good advantage state. Even on the big maps too, it's crazy. Like no one is gonna be safe from this guy. But if you do watch a lot of PvP videos, you may see this guy, and the thing that you may notice is that he's gonna be trading a lot. But that's all I got. If you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, want to see more, and feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about this crossover, or maybe you're gonna be saving for the 6th anniversary. Because Enya you can take her literally anywhere, whereas these collab characters mainly shine the most in PvP. The ninja dude can be very solid to use in regular content, but that's really just all about it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.